so much, Bwana Chair. Please allow me to consult for a minute. So we shall take questions after this. The Secretariat is taking note and will share with the respective speakers so that we are able to respond to all of them. Now want to welcome Patrick Wameo, who is the next speaker. Patrick is a chairman at Pacemaker International. He's a personal finance management and business advisory expert. He's also a financial planning coach and corporate trainer. I believe even as he makes a presentation, he'll tell us more about himself. And I believe that we are going to have a very, very fruitful session with him. So let's put our hands together as Patrick Wameo speaks to us. Karibu, Patrick.
Habari zenu. Which languages do you speak here? You're testing my French capacity. 0, or is it negative? Okay, I have been asked to spend about 5 or so minutes on Sasra before I can go to the main topic. Are you ready? Simeka sana. Simusimame tu. And beyond kusimama, do something. Just do something with you. Sawa sawa? So I think I'll do that very fast. You can resume your seats. Sasra is the official regulator of SACCOs. I think if you read the law clearly, there has been argument as to whether SASRA regulates or should regulate all SACCOs or not. Now, there's something called the spirit of the law and the actual situation. The law that brought SASRA on board has a history. And the history has to do with the entire life of cooperative movements in Kenya. I'll start somewhere from 1946 and just give you highlights so that you appreciate where we are. 1946 is the year when the African was allowed to participate in the cooperative and specifically in handling coffee and tea. They were previously only able to see the Muzungu do the thing. So although the cooperative movement in Kenya is as old as 1908, the real beginning of life was 1946. And between 1946 and when the country got independence, there were several ordinances that were passed by the then colonial government to try to increase the role that the African played in the cooperative movement. I will not discuss that. But come 1955, then the former Ronald Ngala, the late, not the former, the late, was given the first major role in putting cooperative movement in the space of the country. And without saying much, let me say that the sole purpose of a cooperative was to put money in the pockets ya mwananchi. If you don't have money in your pocket, you are not participating in the economy. So you say amen. Hello? So the purpose of cooperatives, and I've not said SACCO or not SACCO. The purpose of cooperatives and the role of WANA-ANGA at the point of independence is important. It was the time when only the Muzungu had the money, and the Muzungu was doing what? Was living. So how the African put money in their pocket? Through the cooperative movement. Are we together? So SACCOs, being an element of the cooperative movement, need to be understood from that history. Now, there were very few SACCOs until around 1986. If you remember, those who are here, the structural adjustment program that was pushed by the World Bank and IMF and others on the country called Kenya. One of the requirements, because cooperatives until that time was a government affair. If you wanted to do anything with a cooperative, the government was participating in it. Madam Aremo was here. Those days, Aremo would have to sign every check that you have signed before it would leave this place. Am I saying something? So come the structural adjustment program. I was a young man in the university that time. When we arrived in the office, were the first casualties. The government was required to reduce the participation in what was intended to be a private business. Reducing participation in what was supposed to be private business. Cooperatives were supposed to be private business, but managing public. Even today, cooperatives are private entities, but managing what? Public funds. So that is where the relationship comes in, and I'll discuss that a little bit later. But let me go back to the time I'm discussing, because the problems that the reasons for SASRA's existence started when the government withdrew its direct participation in SACCOs. These people sitting here, who do you call them? Not directors, they are called who? Board or management. Na sisi wengine? Members. Kwani hawa sio members? Hawa pia ni members. When the government withdrew its participation, because the government used to control, the word is control? Control. When the CEO did a check to me, Aremo would have to sign it, or this gentleman would have to sign it. So when that role was removed, in other words, the government was part of what you are doing. The government now moved to a role where they were offering guidelines, not control. Am I saying something? Now, when that was intended to be a good thing, hatukukuwa tumezoea. Ni kama kutoa nyani kwa miti, you bring it down and start feeding it in a new way. So what happened in 1980s and until 1987, the cooperative movement, especially SACCOs, nearly collapsed. The typical person sitting in this place became the person who was feeding himself first before you. And when I say that in Kenya, you know what I mean. So I'll leave it there. So what happened is then the government decided to bring in regulations to secure that public fund. The fund is public. It's a private entity, but the fund is public. Why? Because the people who are contributing money to this SACCO are not necessarily here to manage it themselves. That's the relationship. So the Cooperative Societies Act, the journey towards the creation of that first act, which was prepared in 1987, then began in earnest. And even the act as it appeared in 1987 still had some weaknesses. So it was again amended so that the 204 version which you have today introduced the Office of the Commissioner of Cooperatives to offer guidelines. And that is why now you have a county or a sub-county, a county and sub-county director of cooperatives representing the Commissioner of Cooperatives in every meeting where you are handling serious issues, to interpret for you the law. And that's why they are the returning officer on most issues. Am I saying something? SASRA came in to deal with the ufujaji. Is that Luo really? You know, see, the Luos like me have a problem with some Swahili words. Kuna uvuja na ufuja. Which one is the bad one? The ufujaji bit. The kuiba. Am I saying something? Or the mismanagement. No, so kuiba, sometimes it's just mismanagement. You remember 2013, around, because SASRA began to live around that, around 13 years ago, a number of these big circles had a very big problem of having bought land that had no value. Am I saying something? That is, the money is not stolen, but the asset is wrong. So SASRA came in to ensure that if you put money in a circle called a deposit, then it is properly managed. And to do that, there are 5 things that SASRA do, 6, which I need everyone to leave this place with you. I also just wrote them. There are 5 things that SASRA do. And I have summarized them here, but I will not discuss them. There's a slide there that can have them, but I will not discuss them. To do so, SASRA must do something called prudential guidelines or prudential standards, but the prudential standards don't come from nowhere. They come from somewhere. Before we discuss what those things are, which I will not discuss in detail, we discuss where they come from. Financial institutions, the type of SASRA, I mean the type of a SACCO, a bank, or a microfinance, is governed by 6 items called CAMEL. So ukiulizwa hiyo SASRA ni mnyama gani, useme ni CAMEL. Najua CAMEL? Ile yuko na mgongo nini? The big hump. So the CAMEL are 6 things. C stands for capital adequacy. The role of SASRA is to ensure that this SACCO, and indeed any other, that receives a member's money, whether you receive it per month or annually or through the SACCO or no FOSA, you are really supposed to be in SASRA. You are supposed to maintain adequate capital for the size of your operation. The adequacy is relative to your size, so that when there's a guideline saying, for example, you must have 10% of your share capital, it doesn't mean that you have 10% equal to Police SACCO. Police SACCO has a balance sheet of 24 billion. 10% is 2.4. Yenu ni ngapi? 1 billion. So the minimum of 10% is how much? 100 million. Naturally, that makes sense? So capital adequacy means that when you are carrying this amount of business, what is supporting it must be strong. Am I saying something? In other words, if I have these things here as evidence of what I'm discussing, you have another one that is empty. Yes, if you have these 2 bottles, if you try to balance this bottle on top of these 2, ni ngumu sana. Make sense? But if I make them 3, and I even try to carry this one, they'll carry. That makes sense? Yes, so when you have a certain size up there, you must have the capital carries the business. So all those loans are carried by capital. That makes sense? So the capital must be of a certain quantity to support what you have there. That is called capital adequacy. And if the ratio relating to capital adequacy is breached, believe me, utapata kifuli ingine imeongezwa kwa hiyo yako asubuhi. Utaulizwa, mtaamuka tu mkienda pale kwa CEO, ameenda kuingia, anakuta kuna kifuli gani ingine juu ya yake. That one is not negotiable. The second thing that SASRA does is called asset quality. SASRA ensures that assets have quality. What are these assets? In a SACCO, the first asset, 80%, 90% of assets, the SACCO has the loans. Before you add your computers, furniture, and all those things. So the quality of the loans is determined by how well you are repaying them. And that is what Madam talked about here, about she mentioned to you, if a loan is not paid for 1 month, how much must be provided? If a loan is not paid for 60 days, how much must be provided for it? What happens exactly? Let me put this to you in a mathematical language. I teach mathematics. So Mimi, I don't know. If this is the loan you borrowed, then this is the installment due at the end of this month. You have not paid this month. So this is overdue for 1 month. 1 month. Then you must, as a manager, you must provide for 5% of this, not 5% of. You are providing for 5% of what? Of what was borrowed and outstanding. Am I saying something? Because this hasn't been paid for 1 month. Then you move to 2 months. The percentage growth. What we mean by providing? Providing means the product to go and remove a portion equal to 5% of this month. If it grows 25, remove 25%. That's something. So the more loans you have which are not performing, the more money is being removed. And if they are not paid completely, what is removed is to pay them all. What it means, what would have been dividends, what would have been interest disappears by repaying loans that others have not done what? Have not paid. Am I saying something? Or I'm told this is a virtual group. So I'll have to repeat myself. But I was demonstrating something. And you cannot demonstrate those who are not here. So Bwana Yesu asifiwe. You cannot talk about things spiritually. This is really physical. So are we clear here? So that's 25%, that 50%, that 100%, as the loan gets worse and worse, means that the entire value of the loan will have to be provided for at the end of 364 days. Melewana. So come a loan by 1 million has not been paid for 1 year. Then now the amount which has to be removed from your profit is exactly 1 million. It is no longer available. That 1 million has gone to pay off the loan that someone did not. Why is that so? The why is important. When you come to this circle to borrow money, you don't borrow your money. You borrow everybody's money. And if you borrow everybody's money, then everybody's money must come back. That's the principle of lending. Now, in product development, we do it 2 ways. We price it in the product, some portion of it, so that we know that 10% of the money will always fail to come. So we price the loan in a manner that it pays back that 10%, which won't come back. Then it pays the balance and we still make money. But we also know that it can rain so high, even that the guys of meteorology cannot tell if it will rain. So that you can't. But you can't tell the volume, can you? You can tell how big it was, but you will not tell how bad Nairobi looked like. Until Nairobi is bad, it's bad. So have I done my justice to the 2 things? The third point, the third thing SASRA does, and any bank does, is looking at the quality of management. Say amen. So for that reason, SASRA, like a central bank, has introduced a requirement for anybody who wants to lead a financial institution to meet what is called fit and proper. Now, this man standing here was the first youngest general manager in a bank. And at the age of 29, I had to go through something called fit and proper test at Central Bank. It is about you being taken through DCI. Let's make it look very, very simple. Can you be seen like a glass? so good here. You stay in the board. If your record there is not as good, then they come with a regret. You gave us 9 board members. Unfortunately, you may approve 8, who you may ambusha, and don't ask us why. So then go and elect that other board member. Hapo tumeelewana? Aya, number 4. SASRA is interested in ensuring that a SACCO behaves like a bank. When you want your money, you get it when you want. It has adequate liquidity. So that L is for liquidity. So when you bring your deposits into a SACCO, the SACCO must apportion the money on different types of assets according to the requirements SASRA has given them, so that they should be able to manage the needs of members for liquidity anytime. If you walk into your bank and you are told you want 100,000, come and take 50 tomorrow, what happens to your mind? Iyo imeenda wapi? Here we say imeenda. Iyo imeenda. So we all come to begin to take our money. So to avoid something called a run on a bank or a run on a SACCO, the board, the CEO and the board of management are required to put the monies they receive in a certain quality of assets by proportions guided by SASRA, and that is not negotiable. It's one of the prudential guidelines that I was talking about here, but I will not discuss them. So that how they control that, they give you what? Prudential guidelines. Hapo tumeelewana? Then the next one is the S. The S element is a bit classy. It's called sensitivity. Risk 1, risk 2, risk 3, risk 4. I'll just mention a few risks. The most common risk is what's called market risk. One of the items of market risk is interest rates. What happens if interest rates did what? Go up, how will SACCOs behave? The usual one that all of you face is called for, and not foreign exchange, bad loans. Like now, in the post period, we've been having no post since Corona, and during this election period when the country has been borrowing a lot. How does that put the community of people's pockets? How is it stressed? How does that stress affect loan repayments across financial institutions? That's why the governor decided out of his wisdom that during COVID, haulipi anything but utumie cash, lipa na M-Pesa na haulipi. Tangu irudi in January or February, January, the number of people who are paying things using M-Pesa have gone where? Have gone down. Because you have 16 bob, 10 bob, 5 bob. Every time you pay something, goes. And the money imekuwa kidogo. Hapo tumeelewana? So in a nutshell, that is what SASRA is all about. So ukisikia kwamba SASRA imesema hii ifanywe, SASRA is not speaking. SASRA issues what? What are these? Prudential guidelines. The management are issued with guidelines. They are the same for every player in the SACCO. So there are 2 types of regulations. Kuna regulation for the big boys, the ones called 176, the first regulation that SASRA issued. These guidelines are slightly different for that group. There's the second one for SACCOs that came into regulation recently called non-deposit, non-withdrawal. The people who cannot withdraw, the people who can only allow you to put money but don't have a FOSA. That are 100 million deposits and above. They also have requirements very much in the same line, but some amounts are different. Hapo tumeelewana? Na kwa vile sikujia hiyo leo, mtaninuia radhi. That is not Luo, but I also try. Hapo tumeelewana? If there's a question, I will answer at the right time. There is Kamel, I skipped E. Oh, serious. E is earnings. The ability of the institution to keep producing sustainable earnings. That's the most important. How could I have forgotten it? You are in business. So earnings is important. But remember, in a SACCO, earnings, hello? Let me teach you this more because this one now links up with the one I was going to go to. Earnings in a circle is lopsided. When I mean lopsided, it's not mathematical, but it's upside down. A circle is the only place where someone comes and puts his money as a deposit, borrows at the lowest rate, but wants the highest return. Am I saying something? When you come to ask for dividends, you want 15%. When you want a loan, you want 12. Now, 15 and 12 are related mathematically. You must earn, then do what? Give. So you cannot earn 12. The circle is earning 12 when you borrow at 12. But when you have borrowed at 12, at the end of the year, you want how much? 15. That mathematics works in a circle. It works, by the way, it works. What it means to you is this. You are the only place where you can earn more than you pay. The law is a nice thing. This guy borrows thrice, this one borrows once. Hii mara tatu yake imechukulia huyu mara ngapi? Mara mbili. That's how that law works. So kuna wale wana borrow zaidi. So ukiwa mtu wa kuborrow zaidi ujue unasaidia wengine ku earn bila kuborrow. And two, in a circle, short-term loans, the ones that are supposed to be the lowest interest, cost you the highest. When you want school fees for 12 months, the interest rate is higher than the one for 5 years. Hello? That mathematics is what makes it work in a circle. You take a development loan, you pay 13%. You borrow an emergency loan, you pay 21%. That 21% is what makes what brings the money that is now used to pay you 15%, even though you pay 12%. That's why it is more expensive. It beats the law of nature to lend short and charge highest. In nature, you lend longest, you charge highest. In a circle, the shortest loan is the most expensive. The longest loan is the cheapest, because a circle is a social and economic. Social comes first. Social and economic enterprise. So social comes first. When you borrow for upuzi, you pay more. When you borrow for development, you pay less. That's the language. If you have not understood me. Ukichukua ya upuzi ya kujivinjari weekend, you pay high. Ukichukua ya kujenga nyumba, you pay what? Less. Hapo tumaliza maneno? Haya. So that's the reason why you should invest in a circle. You put all your shares. Unfortunately, most of us were misled when you joined the circle about the meaning of shares. And I say unfortunately, but it may as well be this large group here. A lot of us do not understand that in law, you are required to own this circle even up to 20% alone. You can own up to 20% this circle alone. The minimum in the bylaw is the minimum you can own. The maximum is how much? 20%. And you are not required to pay it on one day. You just pay per month. You can pay your shares per month in law. What are in a practice? You buy mara moja umesahaulika. You can buy your shares every month. Every month. And if you are bright, and I talk to bright people, if you are bright, what do? Ongeza shilingi mia ngapi? As you put your shares, as you buy shares, you also do your savings. As you do your 1,000 for savings, put 10% of it as shares. You will meet the requirements of SASRA of 10% of share capital without causing a problem, while at the same time growing your shares. And shares will pay you long after you've left this place where we see the weather. When you can no longer check the weather where you are, inakuchapa kama anybody else. When you are chini ya mti, M-Pesa goes chwang, dividends forever. Ukichoka na earn dividends, just fill that form, transfer to your son or daughter. So uliambiwa kijana anazaingia kwa sako? member. Why am I here? I came here to discuss money. And my brief is that I should prepare you for retirement. Hello? Are we clear? The brief I have is to prepare you for what? Retirement. I'm told the youngest person in this place is 30 years. And if that is true, then I have a job for the next 1 hour. Serious. Now, two things which we need to deal with, mapema. The first one is a quote that I have to tell you. That no plan, however well done, however detailed, no plan, however detailed, survives the first contact with nature. So that I want to tell you that a plan on paper is not adequate. What is adequate is what is done. It will not be as you planned, it will be different. No plan, however detailed, will survive the first contact with nature. It has to be revised. So why are we here? To discuss how to plan our lives. Retirement. I am 7 years from retirement. I'm assuming that I'm a government officer. I'll retire at 60, even though I'm self-employed. So I've told myself in the head, young man, you are 7 years away from that mark. Anytime. So I'll tell you a few things in the manner they should be done and what should be done by who, because all ages are covered here. But I'm told the youngest is 30, so I'll deal with 30 going forward. I'll tell you a few things about what you should tell your children to do, how to do what you did not do. But I will also tell you how to move from where you are now, going where? Forward. Now after that, we leave each other. Naenda baringo yangu, na wewe ubaki hapa. For those who are meeting me for the first time, my name is Wameo. It's a Luhya name. It means that which sweeps clean. And I am going to sweep. That is important. The first message is there. Tarehe ngapi leo? 3. Imekwisha mabado iko. You know what I mean? Siliingia juice. Imekwisha mabado iko. Ilienda. Sasa ni hii tu. Sasa ni kufikiria what we need to do, but there's no money. If you don't go through this, God did not pass outside your house. Shetani only. Shetani comes with a lot of money that may make you think things are okay. If you go through this, then you are a man of God. You go through natural life. Cycles, when there's plenty, and naturally, after plenty, there's what? The lowest. But should we be like this? The answer is no. But to get out of it is not to say, I don't want to be in it. Is to go ahead and implement something that requires a lot of pain over time to achieve it. It can be achieved. 16 years ago, I became this gentleman's neighbor. I don't think he even remembers me. I stayed outside in the next home to his for 1 month. That's the month when I quit employment. Somewhere in the hills in Ngong. I left my house here, 85,000 a month. I left my car, brand new, 11,000 kilometers driven. You saw it for a few months before I sold it for a few days. I sold it in the same month. There are some pains you must take to organize. Am I saying something? This man has taken that pain. Today is 15 years, 16 years this June. If things are not working, stop. Hello? Am I saying something? If things are not working, do what? Stop, because I'm not talking to a student here. Mchezo wapaka napanya inaingia inatoroka. The money gets into your pocket. No sooner had it arrived. Standing order, tena uko hivi. Fuliza, sijui nani, every neighbor that knows how to give you when you're in trouble comes around. We want to stop that first here, then goes up. For you to stop it being here, you must stop it where? Here. And so be with me for the next about 45 minutes, because in the next 45 minutes, I will not deal with the pocket. The deal na nini? Now here, if you change your attitude and change your ways, you will surely change in the pocket. You don't need to talk about it. It'll change. I have seen it. I was taught and I have seen it. It can change. Key thing is to know how to deal with these things in a manner that they stop being a whole cloud of everything. They come like this. You move from having 20 items bothering you to around 6 bothering you. Am I saying something? That is a choice you make here, not here. And while as a man you may make this choice and discuss with your wife, don't think that she will for once move at the same pace at you. Mine did not move for 11 years. Kama yako ameingia mwaka moja na ame move. Thank God you're okay. This to come to a place where you have a few prioritized items. It's not easy. I was a GM in CBA when I was 29 years in a Kenyan bank. Number two, I earned shillings a month before I turned 30. 2,000 000 Am I saying something? How many years later today? 22 complete. So I'm not talking to someone that I've not seen money. I have seen mine and I have seen the banks. I have seen and I have managed businesses of 19 richest families in Kenya. I'll give you a share of their experiences. People are not rich by accident. There's something you are not doing right, my brother. They say, oh, in Nigeria, I don't know here. They are my brother, oh, yo sio yangu. Mimi nakuambia there's something you're not doing right. Right. You might not reach their level, but you will not be where you are. Am I saying something? Just go and I'll tell you a few rules to follow to move from that one to this. And the first one is called, write it somewhere, waist watch. Okay. Yes. Oh, that's why I email. Come. Yes, I am. Go there and send it to yourself. So I'm told the online audience cannot access this. Just type your name, Murioki. I think I have you somewhere. Murioki. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Inside. No. No, it's one. So now I can't go to that many. There's no time. Go to miscellaneous. Some desktop. There's something called CBK. And there is in CBK, there is virtual. Send that. Okay. Please type your name there. Okay. While we are dealing with the online audience, the slides will not say much. I am the one who will say all the points because there's no time for what? For those slides. But there are a few I will refer you to because they are visual in nature and you need to see them. So the first thing you do is called waist watch. Andika waist watch. This will be yours. We meet all the time.
Yeah, members, as you heard, the cooperative officers have to go to hand on an election. So we'll just give him 2 minutes to say bye and so that we continue with our education. Sorry for that interruption.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, members, for having taken your time to come to this very important gathering. It is an important gathering because one of the 7 universal cooperative principles, I know you are not new with these terms, is education, training, and information. And so as a member of a cooperative society, if you don't see your board members inviting you to such forum, when any annual general meeting or special general meeting comes, whichever comes first, your first complaint should be that. How comes you never invited us to an education and training forum? Sometimes members have never understood the importance of this, and therefore they have failed to attend. If I look at this hall, then I see some empty chairs. But I'm saying that I may not term that as a poor attendance chair because some are attending online. So then we should always evaluate ourselves by seeing how many members did you expect to attend this forum? Then what was the actual attendance? So what was the variance? What, therefore, caused that variance? What should we do as members to ensure that that variance reduces every other day? When we do that, then we shall be able to achieve that principle fully. I've been listening to speakers from chair to the credit to the broom that sweeps very clean. And one message is clear, that all of us are endeavoring to make Wanaanga Sacco better than it is today, right? And Wanaanga Sacco cannot be better than it is today if us, ourselves, the owners of Wanaanga Sacco, chair, the next person, the next person, the next person, don't make ourselves better. And we can't make ourselves better, chair, if you're in a Sacco and the chair in his report is telling us that the demands for loans are going down. We are a service and credit cooperative. And so the credit side must always remain healthy. So if the credit side is going down, and that's where the business is, then rest assured that we are not heading to the right direction. So again, we need to come and interrogate ourselves and ask ourselves, Chair, why is the loan uptake going down? It may be going down, Chair, because people are running to alternative financials, but they're not telling you. Today, we are talking about mobile loans apps. And they are, every other day they are emerging. Chair, probably your emergency may not be moving as fast, or your chap may not be moving as fast because your members are fulizering. Let me tell you this, don't think that people who fulizer are not members of these circles. They are. I did one time, Chair, just a demonstration, a demo from members. And I started by testing who knows how fuliza works. They never knew that I wanted now or later on to test who knows how an equivalent of the fuliza product in a Sacco works. So from the members, I got somebody who explained fuliza procedures very fast. Actually, we clapped for the member. And then when we came to the similar product for the Sacco, we struggled getting somebody who could explain it the way it works. I want to believe that is not the case here. And if we don't have similar products here. So we should think about in our strategy, Chair, on how we're supposed to come up with that. Default noticed, Chair said. I appreciate your point of order. Now, as a member of a SACCO, when you take a loan from your SACCO, that money is yours plus others. As members, you are a family. So first of all, think about you having the money that belongs to your son. You having the money that belongs to your mother. You having the money that belongs to your father. You having the money that belongs to your brother and sister that you love so much. And so how should you fail to repay so that you can hurt them first? Your answer is coming from the heart. Then now, at the brain level, this money you take should not just be taken for the purpose of taking money. I want to believe that if you took money and put that money into a project that has gains that you can see, then you will feel ashamed defaulting, right or wrong. If you took that money and took your son to university and now your son is excelling there, why shouldn't you see the importance of repaying that money? If you took that money and bought a plot somewhere and that plot is appreciating and you have a title deed, why shouldn't you see the reason for repaying that money? If you took that money and educated yourself and you're becoming better and you're getting promotions, why shouldn't you feel the importance of repaying that money? And then if you are a person whose brain is working well enough, then you must always remember those who appended their signature on your form to enable you get a loan as guarantors. Sometimes we forget. Chair, when you've gone through an experience of getting a loan that you really need, when you have that particular form and you are working with it around to get guarantors, and you know you are pressed because that thing is going, your child is at home, the plot is going, that feeling, that pressure you feel. Now, if you have experienced that pressure you feel, and that relief you get when a guarantor appends the signature for you now to be able to forward the form to the SACCO, should never escape your mind when you are repaying that loan. Because another day, you will require the same people to solve that problem. Chair, I'm happy that you are having a strategic plan, and that strategic plan is due to be reviewed. But a good strategic plan should always have the members' interests at heart. And then as members, you must also know your strategic plan because you help achieve the strategies. Now, by show of hands, how many of you know that you have a strategic plan for Wanaanga SACCO? I can't see any hand. Then that means that the contents therein, therefore they don't know completely. So next time when you are reviewing, please take members through the salient features of that plan and then now launch it. Don't just launch it without members knowing what is inside it. Because people who drive strategy are the owners of the organization. And the owners of the organization are who? They are members. Chair, for those who came after the chair talked about ensuring that service delivery to the member is enhanced by ensuring that the CEO and his team are under performance contracting. For those who are in the government, you know we work under performance contracting. That is important because it's part of management. It's management by objectives. So that when you start your year, you must know that this is what I've planned to achieve, and I must be measured every other period. In the government, we usually like where I report, we usually do it per quarter. Quarter one, we targeted this, now we've achieved this. So what are the remarks for those that we have achieved, those that we have overachieved, and those that we have underachieved? Like that up to the end of the year. So that part of the key performance indicators for the management staff should be that measurable service delivery to the members. We said that an emergency loan will take 2 hours. is there any that took 5 hours? And if that took place, then why? In the environment we're operating in as cooperatives today, technology is something that we can't forget. Why am I saying this? Today, as we get youthful members into our circles, one thing they usually ask is, am I able to get these products from wherever I am remotely? Must I travel from, say, Wanaanga to Nairobi to attend a general meeting? They will ask you like that. They'll say, I don't have that time. And by the way, those who are recruiting new members, and we are also planning to do so, are facing, youthful members especially, are facing that challenge. These people are not patient. They are our sons and daughters, by the way. The generation that is here mostly is now the parents of those. I don't know how they were parented by us so that they became so impatient. Probably they got everything from us now that we are working, so they know things are easy. Those who grew long time ago, kidogo, things are not easy to get. People could be patient to go through the processes. Employment, you go through the job groups, promotions. Now, they can't wait for that. And as a circle now that we are having those restless type of members coming in, how can we ensure that we use technology to retain them? And by doing that, them being our leader, focus group, we shall eventually improve the services to all of us. And so when you talk about the system upgrade, I'm happy that from the other end. So now that it's their own money, but it's governed from the other end. The terms and conditions for your own money now that you take from the other end is provided for by such another person that is not near your control. So you are told that you are taking this money at say 15%, but this is not constant. It may vary. There's a day, there's some time for those who have been following, some time back, interest rates in banks and microfinancial institutions went to more than 24%. For those who were taken at say 14%, we're now repaying at 24%. And it's revised without consulting you. Now it's your money, part of this 40 billion you took from there, and now that money is injuring you. They started running back to circles, Wanaanga, and they said, please, Chair, I know I went without information, but please save me, I'm dying. Can the circle buy, please, so that now I can repay with the circle terms and conditions that are a bit fair? And circles now started coming up with the product of buying of those loans. I don't think whether you have one. Credit, I never heard you mention that. So circles started having the products of doing what? Why should you force your circles to buy you off a loan that you took without the plan of the circle, and by the way, that you took from part of your money that is there? That one is not fair to the circles. Now, nominee forms, and you call it next of kin forms. Chair, is something that I don't believe that you should still be sensitizing your members, because this is common knowledge that you can be here right now and you move to Ngong Road and then probably you are not there. So when that happens, have you left your records in order? Please make sure that you fill those forms if you have not filled them, and then make sure that you update those forms if you need to update the forms. Chair, I have an experience where one of the very best servers in our circles, God forbid, went to be with the Lord, only to go to the circle records to find kwamba alikuwa ameweka a parent who died before him. So where do you take this money? The spouse is there, the children are there. So now the circle was forced to take the family through the process of the court to get the administrator. Sometimes it's expensive, sometimes it takes so long. And by the way, sometimes you may find there's nobody who comes to claim that money, the money that you saved for many years. If that doesn't happen, if that the claim that is not made, then that money, if it remains, if there are deposits and they remain in the circle for 5 years, then that money is supposed to be taken to unclaimed financial assets. By the way, they came to our office recently, and that's one of the emerging issues. Told us that now we need to also map you out and see how much you have that is unclaimed that is supposed to go to them, because according to the Act, you remain with that money, then it is illegal. So now that money goes to Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, and you know when the money goes to the government, what it does, and then yet you left people who would have used this money, right? So do we call that, I don't want to call it carelessness. Give me the better word for that. Now you know that you're supposed to pay it, but you never did it. Is it ignorance? Oh, the word is selfishness. We're still coming back there. But why should you be selfish? Is what? The right word is? Impunity. Why should you be that way? Yet when I look at you, and it was confirmed here, you people of high integrity. Now talking about integrity, Chair, when you mentioned that people forge guarantors, I was surprised. Then CEO, you must be going through a lot. You know, forgery is criminal. Why should you forge guarantors and yet you work together in the offices with others? What makes people not guarantee you so that you are forced to forge? Then that tells something, isn't it? If people can't be comfortable guaranteeing you, it tells something. Can you interrogate yourself? But then for those who have forged, Chair, can you teach somebody a lesson so that you can hand them over to the rightful authorities? And you know, if you are arrested today because of forgery, then you'll risk losing your job. I don't know whether they know that. Are you all employed? You risk losing your job. And I'm happy that they're thinking about doing online guarantorship so that once you say yes, then it becomes a permanent record that cannot be erased. But you're saying that if somebody defaulted and you guarantee that person, and you know that that person exists and that person can be able to repay, please go to the cooperative tribunal at Insurance Plaza in town, along Alcanwalk, lodge your case, let this person be followed. Alipe nini? Roniake. The SACCO can also help. If there is any money that the SACCO can obtain from this defaulter, hata kama ni accumulated dividends, kata, punguzia garanta nini? Mzigo. Always increase your savings, because that cannot be overemphasized. You, being number 57, biggest SACCO in Nairobi out of 74 that have total assets of 1 billion and above, you are not, by end of 2021, you are not a small SACCO. And so what we expect from you is continuous improvement. What the Japanese call Kaizen. Kumbe you know these things. The chairman, kumbe anajua hizi vitu bwana. Siwaambie, umesemaje?
Methodological watu wanajua Kaizen, mnazijua? Yeah, I think we have done it.
Now that I'm talking about people, with people who have done Kaizen. So then the circle should also show what? Kaizen. And the circle can only show Kaizen if you as a person is also showing Kaizen. And you can save, of course, by way of increasing some deductions on your payslip. If your payslip is so squeezed the way most of us would say, then in case you get something extra from out, hata kama tuseme meti mekutuma mahali na umepata per diem, because that can happen in the government, instead of drinking all the per diem and eating all of it, you first of all take something to the circle. If you earn dividends and interest on deposits, you don't eat all. Chair, I usually see hiyo ikifika hiyo resolution napitanga haraka, hata unaweza shindwa kupata mkono yenye una choose. How many are saying tupewe? All the hands are usually up. Propose a seconder. But when it comes now that you've declared, how many propose that 50% should be retained? Now the hands reduce. Why do they reduce? Now we need to ensure that that also becomes part of our strategies of sale. Our highest server in Nairobi, who now has over 150 M in his circle, does that. When 10% is declared and 15 million is the interest on deposits, anachukua, anarudisha pale. Sasa inakuwa plus 15 M. You grow very fast that way. Chair, I want to thank you for the opportunity you accorded me to meet your members. For those who came in after, we had introduced ourselves. My name is Hilary Musina. I'm the current Sub-County Cooperative Officer for your circle, taking over from Lucy Kimani, who has since retired. And in addition to that, I'm directly in charge of your circle. So let's grow together so that we can grow Wanaanga circle to the newest heights so that we can even benefit more. God bless Wanaanga circle. God bless cooperative movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hilary. I think with time, you'll get to know Wanaanga and how we handle our issues. Actually, most of those things that you're talking about, we are actually doing it, like taking it to the unclaimed assets, dormant accounts being closed. So those are things that we are trying to see that we handle. We thank you very much for being with us, and I'm sure you'll be with us during our AGM when it will be announced. Thank you. You may leave. And Wana-ANGA, I think, sorry for taking your time. You can take back.
Oh, it's okay. Can I get you back, or your heads are gone? Are you here with me? Yes. Mimi ukiniita hapa usinipimie saa. Mimi ninapima. So until the message is home, I'm not leaving. Even if you told me it is 1 hour. So we were working on the formula. We were starting to work on the formula to move from this situation to come back to what? This. Why is it important? Because if you have nothing to invest, a plan is a piece of what? Paper. So we want to create the money before we begin to discuss where do you take it. Am I saying something? So I asked you to write down something called Waste Watch. Now, Waste Watch is not a serious stuff. And now that I am here, I can also show you that by way of a document so that I don't struggle so much doing it. To save time when I'm explaining it, let me just do it. I train the central bank, and I've taken them all through this ceremony. And I wish you could just listen to yourself and not anybody else. Those who can read that statement is saying, please write down enough belt tightening measures. Ndekatu, write down enough belts, write down enough belt tightening measures to yield at least Kenya shillings dash in savings. or as much as you can realistically save, then commit to shedding your budgetary fat. That's the statement I've made. You can take a photo of it. It will also be given to you at the end of this class. What does it mean that you will do? What will you do? Because I'm not teaching you principles of finance. I'm teaching you practices and processes. What does that mean? List the following. List at least 5 things you do every day with money. Do it now. What am I saying? List at least 5 things you do with money. I'll give you an example. Number 1, I left my house. I am here. I have traveled. Do you travel? Andika travel. Before I traveled, there was something called what? Breko. My sons call it breko. I don't know what breko means, but yes, there was breakfast. Money was spent. Before you had breakfast, you are in a shower. Was the water free? Aya, andika hiyo. Sabuni imenunuliwa, Kenya Power imeingia kwa maji, ikakuwa home. So you pay utility bills, you pay, you eat, you travel. Do you have a phone on your hands? Do you call someone every day? Yes, communication. Andika hapo. So you look at your life from when you wake up until when you go back to bed, and you list the things you do with money every day. Then you do the same for what you do once a week. Kuna list ya the things of every day. List ya pili ni things of you do once a week, every week. Mwanaume lazima anyoe ndevu. And most of us go to kinyozi. So andika kinyozi once a week. Am I saying something? Then you go to the things you do once a month as a ritual. You pay rent once a month. You buy things for the house once a month. You do what? Once a month. Am I saying something? I pay school fees monthly. And if you want to know how to reduce school fees pressure, come to my formula. Pay monthly. So you have once a day, the things you do every day, the things you do once a week, the things you do once a month. Character, please hear me and hear me out. Character is developed when you are doing things every day. If you have to change your character, umeambiwa mara mingi badilisha tabia. You cannot change character at the month. You change it where? At the day. Am I saying something? I did not arrive in this place in my car. And I am here. You did not know that until I told you. Yes, because I didn't have to arrive here in my car. I made a choice that I will arrive, and I am here. Don't ask how Lu was arrived. You might get lost, because they have different ways. Sometimes just ask, are you there? Now, you have many options. One, to walk from Gong up to here. The other one is to take my car itself and do what? Bring it here. The other one is to go into Metro and do what? Come here. Or when you find time is running out, you Uber. Uber is cheaper than my car. If my car came here, I would have spent 1,800 by now. Uber is 460. Matatu is 100. Kutembea ni bure. Those are all options. Those are all what? Options. Most of us are broke because we choose the most expensive option. Na pesa ni kidogo. Now, at the same time, you want wealth. You can't have wealth when you are spending it in the form of expenses. If you have to have wealth, and by the way, why am I telling you this? The richest family that we know about is Kenyatta family here. Have you seen anyone grandchild of Kenyatta driving a big car? Have you seen anyone son of Ndegwa and they are here driving a big car? And you cannot walk. So Waste Watch is about questioning of those 4 options, which one will I use to reduce some money so that I can take that money to what I want most? Am I saying something? So that statement we wrote here is about, I wake up earlier, drop the use of a boda boda from house to the stage, save that 50 bob. If you woke up earlier, you don't need the boda boda. You can do what? Walk to that stage. I can tell you, I told you I was his neighbor. When I came to leave from where I was living in my house, I was on a mortgage. When I left employment, I even sold the house. When I came to stay in his neighborhood, the school bus could not come where I was staying. I was willing to pay, but it could not come. I had to wake up every morning and go back to Ngong, Barclays, to take my children to be picked. I couldn't stomach it. I moved to the school. I quit staying in the nice environment. I went to stay next to school. The other side of Rongai. Next, you know where Advent Hill is?
200.
My kids from Riara here. I had taken them to Advent Hill, and the school could not come to pick my children. Then I had to move to near the school. And I left neighborhood. It's quite a neighborhood, I can't lie to you. I was coming from one, so I wanted to be near where I was. Now I had to go where the reality is. And I told you, the best plan cannot survive the first contact with what? Reality. It will change. You must be willing to be flexible. Waste Watch is about saving what you already have to start creating something else. Because we will leave this door and you say, but now what do we invest? Hakuna pesa kwa hiyo payslip. Pesa iko kwa payslip. Kwa mfuko yako ndio hakuna pesa. Because inaingia hapa, mahitaji yako are the same things I do. I sleep, you sleep. I eat, you eat. I travel, you travel. Everything I do, you do. But you choose the option that you think you prefer. And by making that choice, pesa imeenda. So if you want to invest, you must go through this list. Take the choose of the 4 options. You always have more one option for doing a thing. Am I saying something? You choose the option and just say, I will save 50 bob per day, 30 days. How much is that? 1,500. I will wake up earlier, travel, jam free, reduce my fuel consumption by what? 1,000 bob. End of month, 1,000 bob. Jam free. I can tell you, I lived in Rongai for 3 years, 365 days, 3 of them. I was never caught up in that jam once. I would drop my son at Strathmore School down here in Levington at 6:10 every day. And I left Rongai at 5:30. I was never caught up in that jam. It's called discipline. Discipline is doing the things you hate until they become a habit. You don't like it, you do it until it becomes a habit, so that you can create something you love. But if you love eating now, then don't worry about the future. The future will take care of itself. When your knees can no longer walk, ndio unakosa ugali, you will know what it means. It is not right to drive a Mercedes-Benz now when you will not drive a Toyota after 60. Oh, I can tell you. If you are doing a Benz now, na Toyota, huwezi afford after 60. Upside down. You need a Benz when your bones can no longer move. You need Toyota when you can walk. In Luo, we say you use automobiles when you are young, then you buy a car when you are old. Because Luos don't call automobiles cars. There are things that qualify to be a car, 2004 cc kwenda mbele. Anything else is anything else. That is important. So when you've done all this, at the end of the month, the first thing you have to see is that there's a number where. Can you see this number here? If you are fair, if you are very fair with you, I ask you to write 5 things. Just look through what you can change and tell me Approximately how much money can you save per month? Do it now, not later. Yangu sio kufanya baadaye, ni saa hii, hapa hapa. Look at what you can save just from changing 3 things and tell me how much money can you save at the end of the month. I am not asking for salary increment. I'm talking about the money you have where? Now. By doing this thing, I did the following. 2009, I quit employment. I didn't have a job anymore. I couldn't afford a mortgage of 85,000 shillings a month. I sold the mortgage, the first culprit. I stopped paying 85,000. Where I was actually paying 20. Then I moved to Rongai to pay 20 in a 4-bedroom house. I had to move from living near 4 kilometers to go 24 kilometers to lower my rent from 85 to 20. Am I saying something? But it came with waking up at 5 a.m. and arriving at Strathmore School at 6:10 every day. That is a new routine in my life. I had to move my sons from paying 61,000 here in Riara per child to paying 7,000 shillings for 2 children per term. For the whole term, I pay what I was paying for 1 child for how many? 2. And that even included lunch where they were. Here, I would have to pay other things. 11 extra thousand shillings. It's called waste what? When I say waste, you say watch. Waste what? By moving my children from this school, I stopped paying 11,000 shillings per child per month on transport. I'm still Wameo. The name has not changed. Am I saying something? By moving from my mortgage, I reduced my monthly outflow on sleeping from 85 to 20. 65,000 bob savings. Am I saying something? When we moved that place, my wife had to learn where her market is and buy things in bulk. To this date, she buys in bulk. To this date. Most of us seated here are broke, not because we don't have money, it's buying habits. Mshahara ni ile, na employer compensates you for the hours you give. It will never increase more than what you give. Watch should give you this money when you've made very small changes in your life. And that new money made available should go towards the plan we are discussing for retirement. So now, if I move into retirement plan, usiniambie na pesa itatoka wa? Because I have shown you. And if you don't want to hear, mlango ndio ile. Am I saying something? Mimi ni mtu wa Mungu, I'm an Opus Dei, and I will not lie to you. I tell you as it is. I'm a priest. I don't have the collar here. You'll never see me in one because I never qualified. But I'm not going backwards to just win a collar for the sake of it. I already have the values. The first thing you do is do what? What do we have there? Know yourself. You are not managing money. You are managing yourself. Am I saying something? You are not managing money. These things I'm discussing, it is what you do with you. Then money makes them possible. So if you manage yourself, then you manage the money. Am I saying something? Please don't waste time sitting with an Excel. Then immediately after writing it, you breach it. That's a joke. That's a serious joke. Unapanga kila kitu kwa karatasi hapa tu, ukienda hapa tu kwa supermarket. Saa hiyo umevunja sheria yote. That is not. You manage you, not money. Am I saying something? You should never walk into a supermarket with a list and come back with one extra item which is not in that list. What should be bought tomorrow must be planned for and bought tomorrow, having been justified against other things. If that becomes a behavior here, you will do it every time. Every time. I've left an E230 on my compound. I am here. Courtesy of Super Metro. In between, I took an Uber, dropped me here. Sinilifika. On time, was I late? No. 460 full cost. And I will charge you 5,000 for that. I never charge less than 5K, but I spend 460. Oh yes, why lie to you? I do it every day. I'm going to Baringo right now. They have paid for me 15,000 to go. I'll use less than 1,000 to arrive. I am still a mayor and a law. Nothing has changed because I wasted time and money. I'm not going to waste it going forward. Am I saying something? So please don't tell me and don't tell anyone that you don't know where money is. One, you don't need a lot of money. You need money piling up somewhere through the power of compounding. This gentleman, Musina, who was here, amekuambia the best saver returns all his dividends to earn more dividends. That's why it is 150 million. It's not his savings. If he had $1 million and he earned 200, from the end of the year, it's now 1.2 million earning more. Am I saying something? That's what you need. And then you ask how many years between the youngest person 30 and retirement. And you will find that working. When you buy a plot, the plot, you cannot go and sell the growth in value and eat. That's why the plot moves from 100K to 6 million. Am I saying something? But because we cannot keep money in a circle, it comes back as dividends. Like school fees. You start aligning school fees with the dividend period. Kilipo dividend, school fees. A man should pay school fees from his sweat, not from the sweat of his money. That's a policy that if you breach, you will never make money because you will cut that dividend growth from growing other dividends. Am I saying something? I told you I pay my school fees per month. Nasina mshahara. I pay school fees here at Strathmore School. I've paid for my first son has graduated. I'm paying for my second son in Form 4, but I pay school fees per month. I paid yesterday 31,000. I paid last week, the other week for January, 40,000. I paid 56 in December. The full school fees is 143. Where are those ones? By this weekend, I am paying the other one. By the end of this month of March, I will have paid the entire school fees. Nasina mshahara. You pay per month. You don't have the brightest child to pay school fees plus interest. You don't. You should be using that school fees loan to borrow and invest, not to borrow and do what? Pay school fees. I have had a chance to look at 244 SACCOS loan books for 5 years. A job I did for this country. And I have seen where money go. People borrow for emergency to buy blocks, to buy cement, to buy what? Am I saying something? Where is your emergency going? It is not the emergency loan. It is where it is ending. The plan is here. What we should do after we've known ourselves, you do what? Sema hiyo, nasema nini? Know exactly where you are now financially. Where am I now? In which side of a hole am I? 3 or 4 things are involved in that. They are not in the slides. Write them. Number 1, you know exactly how much income is coming in and from where. So salary, number 1. Passive income, comma rent, number 2. Passive income, comma business, number 3. Portfolio income like interest, number 4. Portfolio income like dividends, number 5. Kwenye una 0, andika 0. Salary, number 1. Passive income, comma rent, number 2. Passive income in the form of business, number 3. Portfolio income in the form of dividend, interest, number 4. Dividends, number 5. Kwenye una 0, andika nini? 0. Then you ask, this time next year, how much will I earn against this zero? It shall never happen by prayers. You must take an investment action. Am I saying something? There is no amount of prayer that will move somebody's bank balance into yours. None. Deuteronomy, the chapter is 28. Leviticus, the chapter is 26. Jisome. Usome na mtu mwingine. No midnight transfer of funds by mistake will move you. So once you've done, I've known my incomes, next, where are they going? Expenses. Write that. There are two types of expenses or two categories of expenses. Number one expense category, and because I'm discussing investment, I'll not discuss those ones in detail. Number one is what we call non-discretionary. Sina choice, it must be done. List them. Mnaandika kweli? Or you want to leave my class? Mimi ni mwalimu. I teach at Chiromo. And I'm not used to people who don't write. Are you recording? Naona mkitoka. Oh yes, record. Non-discretionary expense, list them. What are those? The things you can't avoid to do what? To do. You must pay rent. You must buy food. You must pay school fees. Those things which you must do. Andika. The question is, how much are you paying? How much? I have shown the formula. You now subject that list to that formula. Tumeelewana? And that is where most of the things are dangerous, because you do these things every day and you'll do them all your life. Tumeelewana? If you are somebody in his 40s and you are paying rent, your children are soon demanding a room each. Utaweza. When you are 25, they were babies. They were sharing one room. Now, when you are 40, 43, they are leaving high school. Girls want their rooms. Boys want their rooms. That means more rent for you if you have not taken the step to own a piece of plot. Mabati uweke yako. Hapo ndio utajua hukujua. Children just grow up slowly. They suddenly become an emergency. They just grow up slowly. Once you've taken care of the expenses that are called non-discretionary, you now look for category number 2, discretionary. Andika hiyo. Those are things you have a choice over to do or not to do. Kujipigia mwili pole, number 1. Investment, number 2. Do you know most of us have not understood that you don't invest? It is because it is a choice to invest. Sio lazima. Am I saying something? Investment, number 2. Kusaidia watu, number what? 3. Unasaidia tu ukiwa nayo. Because you can't give out your lunch. Now ambie your kids, leo mtakaa njaa because I gave out the lunch. You can give out your portion. So you go through that list. Formula ni ile. If you want to know how to do this, you do things without the changing what you do, but you change the behavior. What do I mean? If you normally go out on a weekend, not to take dasani, but to take the other dasani, what you do, you don't stop taking dasa. You change where you take dasani. Even across this road, there's tankard, there's what. Beer, beer, and tofauti in all of them. Am I saying something? So you choose where the beer is cheap. Beer ni ya brewers, my friend. Haijalishi unakunywa chini ya maji ama nje ya maji. You change the behavior, not what you do with it. Am I saying something? The behavior is where you buy it, not the drinking. The drinking is not a problem. It is the price per bottle that's a problem. And you will save. And when you want to save, you save at home before you go to where you drink, so that you go with the price of the lower place. Ukienda kwa high place, you buy fewer bottles. Are we together here? It has to be intentional and aligned to your behavior. No mistakes. Practice of finance, sio story. Ukikuacha na hiyo tayari umeanza. But if I leave this door and you forget, then don't call me again, Murioki. I will not come. I will not. Danganyi. If you cannot show me that there's a change in savings behavior because people have changed their behaviors and the amount of money coming in for investment is growing, then this thing we are discussing here about investment, haina maana. You must know where you are to stop digging. If you are in loans, you stop digging more loans. You ask, why am I taking more loans? Address that issue, not the fact that you're in loans. Am I saying something? It is not the loans as a problem. It's the reason causing loans. Processes and practices of financial management are different from principles. The behavior must change. As I finish, once you've known where you are, what do you do next? What is that? You say, now I want to do this. I'll give you an example because most of you are fairly old. I want to use one example that fits the younger person and the oldest person. Assume you are about 57 years old. 60 is only how many years away? 3. Naenda Baringo sahi kufunza wazee kama hao. You are about to retire and you did not invest. Which happens because you raised children most of their life. Sinukwali. You are paying school fees. I pay school fees too, I know that. So now what do? What do you need in retirement? Andika hiyo first. What do I need in retirement? In retirement, you need stable income. That word stable, underline it. It must be stable. And it comes every month. So the question of stability and consistency. Why do you need that? Because in old age, you are eating and going to hospital. You are eating and going to hospital. Hakuna kitu ingine. Past 71 years, you stop being very active. Ni kukula, kuoga na kwenda wapi? When you're okay, chini ya mti yako. When you aren't okay, hospital. Am I saying something? So you need money when you are sick, There's no question of asking, do I even have money? When you are sick, you need money. Am I saying something? If you don't eat because there's no food, my friend, you are moving down faster. Unajipeleka haraka. I'll explain to you this. I grew up in this town. My first 5 years, I stayed with my auntie. My aunt did not step into a classroom. My grandfather ni wale watu anasema wasichana hawaendi shule. My father was taken to school and the sister didn't go to school. So the sisters, this number 3, the one I came to visit with here, in my first 4 years in Nairobi, the day I arrived, she told me, Nairobi, I'll pay with fare. Lesson number 1. She used to have a shop in Gikomba. Tunaenda from Isilis. If you know St. Peter's Church, right opposite it, you walk to Gikomba every time to and fro. Ukiwa pale anakupa pesa ya lunch. You have a choice to save it, use it for other things, or you have a choice to eat it and then do what? Walk home. And on Saturday, I had a chance to sell her newspapers for a commission of 25 cents. I make 1 bob after selling 4. And I used to make approximately 11 bob every day. 3 bob was chips in 3rd Street. 3 bob. Now, nanunua chips na baka na giri nane. I mean, shilingi 8. Cooking was done once. Even if it's your day of cooking, you don't care about anybody else who is not available when people are eating. You eat and wash the plates. There's no eating later. Those are disciplines. This lady had 1.8 million shillings worth of nation shares. in 1995 without going to school. She bought them every time they were being sold. Are you getting me? She just bought them slowly. By the time my auntie passed away when I was in second year in the university, her shares were enough to educate all her children. All. She didn't have a pension. She was running a business in Compa, which died as soon as she died. Are you getting me? Well, umekuwa metrology miaka kumi na kitu. Shame on you. It is about being diligent with yourself. Hapo tumeelewana? So the practice I'm discussing is this. It is not enough to say, I have big money. You develop a goal and say, I want rent. How much? 25,000. How much do I need to invest to earn rent of 25? I can tell you where I am. That is at least 3.2 million shillings. Am I saying something? So you ask, if I've got 3 years to retirement, is 3.2 million shillings reasonable without touching my pension? The answer is no. So what do? You have it. You get 1.8. You will still earn 13,000. Make sense? Are you here? Naona hapa Wanye. Hapo njia ya Wanye. Kuna apartment imejengwa hapo inauzwa na Savo. Na unauza between 1.8 and 2.5 million, things called studios. They are costing from 1.8 to around 2.5. The rent there is 14,000. Am I saying something? You tell yourself, how can I buy that? And you can buy in 5 years without having to worry about it. These 5,000 I have told you save. How much money can it give you if you used to borrow in a circle? A loan that is 5 years, development loan, repaying at 5,500, pesa ngapi? Hiyo ndio hesabu unahitaji. You start by saying, I have 5,500 cash flow, I have cloud back. How does it bring 1.8 million worth of a flat, which will bring me 13,000 bob in rent? That becomes an immediate short-term retirement plan. Am I saying something? You don't go for things that are too big, you start doing something. That flat will grow in value and will pay you cash per month. Ukitoka hapa, unalipwa 1/3 of your pension. Say amen. In cash. You put that money in an investment that will give you stable income. Sio bahati nasibu. Because in retirement, hakuna bahati nasibu. You will call your son on WhatsApp and he's saying, hi dad, how you doing, man? But no cash. If you call your son in the US now, you'll talk very nicely. But when you finish, sleep hungry. Dad, how are you doing? On WhatsApp. Wewe na mimi, naenda kuona wazazi physically. Wewe unaonewa kwa WhatsApp. Parental responsibility of paying school fees is not an investment. It's a duty. Ukipokea fruit yake, thank God. Ukipokea ile ingine, thank God for the pain. Because anyway, you paid the school fees and you can't retrieve it. Hapo tumeelewana? Stability is the first word for the income during retirement. Number 2, consistency. Are you getting me? Rent is just one of those stable incomes. By the way, rent must not come from a house. You can rent wheelbarrows. How many contractors don't have wheelbarrows and need them this morning? So if you own an asset called wheelbarrows, wheelbarrow, you can actually have them somewhere on this road and rent and get money every evening. If you go around that area where OTC is, kuna muindi who owns those cats. Those drunk men hire those cats every day for 1,000. Hiyo kitu haina repair. And he has 50 of them. So every evening, those drunk fellows bring 50,000 to the muindi, and every morning they go back to pick it. They never buy. It is not lack of money, it is lack of this. Please shika hapa. Not seeing that you can also put your money aside na itoshe kununua mkokote. 3 years, 4 years, you are still renting every day. Ukimaliza, unaenda unakunywa, unalala nje, unaamka kama una the same mkokoteni, hakuna kuoga, kwenda tu. People are not slaves because the pockets are in danger. People are slaves because what controls the pocket is unwilling to do some things. You are unwilling to forego the drink to save the money. And I've just told you, discipline. Why is Uhuru the largest supplier of milk or buyer of milk in the whole of East Africa? Who among you failed to take milk in the morning today? In whose house in this room maziwa ilikosekana? Hakuna. Haukuwa na habari maziwa ni hivyo. An investor who invests in milk, every household, yule anayo na yule hanayo, nunua maziwa. Am I saying something? As you drink every breakfast, 40% of your cost straight to Uhuru as profit. He will never be poor. The gas which you used to cook near Raila. Weka tu hapo. Iyo gas cylinder, who owns it? Those guys have invested in simple things that pay you consistently. Of course, you can't compete them. Are there other things that can bring consistency? Yes, there is. Am I saying something? There is. Kama ulikuwa mtu wa metrology, wewe na duka hamuelewani. Ukitoka hapa retirement, fungua duka ni kumwaga pesa. Hauelewi what happens in a shop. Hauelewi how a hardware works. Jaribu pole pole kido. If it works, make it big. But don't leave this place and then you hire a hall this size with retirement money. Umemwaga cement hapa tutauza. My friend, cement and you will look at each other for months. Because in a business, there's something called learning curve. I'm a businessman. I began doing business at 19. I'm always in a small business somewhere. The learning curve on anything you start is almost 3 years. If you don't have the strength to lose capital for 3 years, paying rent, bila kuona kitu kirudi, you will throw 3 years. Just when you're about to break even, sema, Mungu niokoe kwa hii. Am I saying something? When you are young, 30 years, you don't buy that flat because you want rent. You are buying the same flat because you want something called capital gains. In 5 years, when you are 35, that 1.8 million will be nearly 5 million, if not 6. Am I saying something? The rent will have moved from 13 to 26. It is not the rent you are looking for to improve your life. You take that rent and reinvest in another. Say amen. So you are going to buy a flat, hapa wanye, for 13,000, not for improving your life, to give you cash flow, to put somewhere, to borrow again, to buy another one. You are buying the same flat for different reasons. Somebody is buying it for stable income. The other one is buying it for capital gains. And the guy who buys for capital gain at 35, when somebody's daughter has also seen you, na amekuja na sumu, mkuambia vile nakupenda, inaingia hapa straight natoka huko. Before she disorganizes you to sell that flat, to now buy a bigger house in Karen, anakuingizia ujinga ya hewa. Real case study. A lady has brought her husband to me. Kama karibu anavutwa hivi. Both of them were staying here in Karen. The girl was born in Karen to a rich father who did not have the benefit of throwing things at children. The man was born in Karen to a politician who used to buy his time by paying everything. So the boy had all his fun. They met and they are married. And the woman couldn't understand why they were broke every month and they spent $460 a month. She decided, we need to talk where there's a neutral person because I'm going to persuade you. And she brought her to me. What transpired here for 2 hours, I didn't talk. We were anasema bila nakufanyia, but did I ask you? Are you getting me? When your parent stops to be your parent, they just release you into the world with what you've copied from them. They don't give you new instructions. The world is supposed to teach you to stop and reflect. So don't blame the environment. When you're 19 years old, you stop blaming the environment. You are responsible enough to do what I have told you here. Stop and take a toll of what you do. Nobody is 19 years in this room. The youngest is 30 years. If you leave this door, that one, and go and do things the way you were doing them yesterday, this circle wasted their money on me, and I don't come cheap. The money that they spent on me is a waste because there's no behavior change. Hii nyumba imenyamaza kwa nini? Am I saying something? No money will drop from your account until you drop it. So for the younger person, you are going to buy assets that are small because your income is also small. A share is one of those small assets. It brings portfolio income. I gave you a list of incomes, isn't it? It brings portfolio income called dividends. Am I saying something? You are going to put money in a circle. It pays you dividends and interest at the end of a year. Do not meet that dividend again. Ikitoka 1,000 imetoka imeingia kwa circle. Plus the dividend it produces, they should never mix with you. They should stay where they are. Write a letter to this gentleman. Tell him, don't pay me my dividends in cash. If you are here and you are below the age of 40, that instruction is for you. You can as well not do it anyway. Tanikumbuka. When the hell has come like flowers, and it comes, it has come to my door, I know what it means. The last 3 years during COVID, I was paying school fees of 135,000 bob per child na hakuna pesa. Consultant and COVID. And Stratmore wants the money, and JK wants their money, and when they want, they want. Nilitoa savings mpaka ikabaki karibu. When you ought to be keeping savings, you are selling shares at away price because you are illiquid. I sold prized assets that I had kept when times were good, but now Stratmore wants the school fees. JK want the school fees. What do? My mother is sick. I took care of my mother for 23 years, paying a bill of between 17,000 and 80 every 3 months for that period. During Corona, I was still paying it. I understood what it means to have some liquidity. Am I saying something? Nilifunzwa na dunia na mimi pia nimefunzwa kitamboni. You are not going to retire better until you live now for now, putting money aside and putting it in a place where it can grow and keep growing, such that when you're retiring at 60 plus, it is when you ask, umefika wapi uanze kunilipa? And the people I'm talking to here, the people wameishi maisha ya kawaida. Maisha ya kawaida means that your life is always upside down. Your neighbor is broke, my friend. That's what I'm saying. Touch your neighbor, is broke. Touch your neighbor. Touch your neighbor. The Nigerians say, touch your neighbor. I want to paraphrase that. I want to say it in plain language. I am Luo, and I don't lie. When you live among poor people, the behaviors you watch are for the poor people. You think it is right to have them. If you have a chance to be thrown among the rich for a few hours only, you will notice people don't behave the way you behave. I'll tell you a true story, not a joke. I left Barclays employment 28th of June 2008 to work for Munga. Mark the names. Nani? To work for Wairegi, to work for Mwangi of Equity. There's one more remaining. Do you know those guys? Who are they? Some are billionaires. I had a chance, courtesy of my employment, to have what they were calling executive lunch. Executive lunch was lunch meant for around 14 people who are general managers and above. How often would you get Munga to sit down with you for 2 hours for free? No. How often would you get Wairegi to sit with you for 2 hours for free? I spent 9 months with these people over lunch, and by the 10th month, I could no longer work. And I was being paid 865,000 a month. That month I came to visit you, I left 865,000 kwa meza. Kakuja bila kitu. Niko hapa mpaka sahi. Nimekufa. What you need is not money. What you need is what? Knowledge. And knowledge of investing is not acquired bila practice. Hello? Everything I have told you must be done. Have I or have I not? Have I told you something you will do by prayers? No, you must do something. You must deny yourself something which you're already doing and you don't need to start creating something you need. The last thing you want to say in your life is that I don't have money to do that, because that money has gone somewhere else. How about Melewana? Please don't buy a plot because people are buying a plot. Buy a plot because in your portfolio of assets, that plot falls in long-term investment. And when you buy an investment, it ceases to be a beautiful thing. If you have a nice plot of land on Gong Hills, kuna wakati ya kuiuza when it's attracting more money. Am I saying something? You don't buy it because it looks nice and then keep it hiyo ni yangu. Utakula yako. So when God blesses you with small income, there are assets called small assets. They pay long term. Shares, those things you call money markets, those things you call equity funds. What you need to do is to sit with someone to understand what is the strategy of each instrument. What is it trying to achieve? Will it take me to where I want to go? That I can't do in this room. Am I saying something? But go and pay fees to someone to show you. But above all, whether you write the plan or not, may you be very clear on the fact that I want to own rent at least 25K per month. I want to own this at least this per month. I want to own this. Every asset you own must deliver something to the bank. Say amen. Even if it's one asset. Dukaya Mtafari. And I wish I could, who is around here? The IT guys, just come here and Google Africana. I want you guys to see these things because you need them in practice. Do you go to Nanyuki? Nanyuki? If you arrive in Nanyuki, Kenya Power Station on the road going to Mount Kenya Safari Club, check that road. There's a river down there. Cross that river, turn right immediately. There's a place, there's a guest house there. That old man was my client. The guest house is built out of Mgongo Yambao. Each room brings 3,500 per night, na imeja every night. Investment, not investment. So what is important is to know how to know opportunities. And because I want to tell you a few things there quickly and I'm going away. Just Google Africana ad ndio hii hapa. This one here. You need to know how to read opportunities when you are young, so you invest on opportunities that are long term. Hapa tumeelewana? The first thing you need is government plans. Government plans, and there are 48 governments for that matter. The 47 plus national. For the 47, they have something called County Integrated Development Plan, a CIDP. For the municipality in that county, there's something called IDEP, Integrated Development Plan. Is available, you can get it. I want them to see the buildings because some things look very, very simple, but they are not that expensive. Show them the building, yes. The building, not the beds, but those beds are collecting money per night. Am I saying something? On Airbnb, you will go and Google yourself later. I just want to see it and to see how those things look, how simple they look like. Because a lot of us think when you invest, you build something like that one. Na wewe unaomba Mungu akusaidie upate hata block moja hivi. Just block. There's a picture there that has got the photos. I was saying something. What I'm saying is this. You look at information that is sensitive to investment. Am I saying something? One of them is CIDP. Now that's now an eating place. There are the cottages somewhere. There are a photo somewhere showing cottages. If it's not in that one, choose in any other. There's a photo just showing the buildings from outside. Just run, just keep running. Oh no, it must be somewhere else. Just get escape and get another link. But if you go and look at Africana, you had what? Cottages. Imejengwa na mtafari. It's a very good, the thing I'm trying to show is called concept. Information there is Luyas who are living high life in Nairobi want to go home and continue living the high life, but they don't have the high life where? At home. Kuna nyumba ya mchanga kama yangu, but you want Kilimani in Nairobi, in Webuye. So the yard is for a family, it's not for an individual. It's for a person who is coming who needs 3 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms. And every day there's a lawyer driving home who has to stay with his family, see the mother, and come back and have Nairobi in Webuye. Am I saying something? That is what that thing does. 60% occupancy throughout the year. Simple investment. A loan from the SACCO can build those 3, 4, 5 rooms. Now unasoma weather hapa. Ukimaliza kusoma weather, you go back to your money. Am I saying something? So those IDEPs, those CIDPs show you where the government is going to do an investment and how much money they will put there. There's a table there showing you what the government is going to do here and how much they'll put in there. Am I saying something? When the government is investing somewhere, ask, what is the impact of this investment in this place in terms of human beings, in terms of food, in terms of beds, in terms of all those things? Then you choose, sell what you have, go and do what? Buy there. Am I saying something? You buy with a concept in the market. Don't buy because we are selling. If you bought a plot because of being sold, you did a good thing. You put money together. When you sell, now go and buy because you know what you want. Am I saying something? Kama sijakushika wakati huu, sitakushika tena. I'm also not interested. Wakushika wewe. Bana umeshindwa niende? No. These things are gonna be there. Just many of them, just choose. Go back to African Ayad. Get out. Yes. Yeah, we are winding up. Or so I am told. But for me, I'm done. I think I would answer Joyapa. Yes, get out. I want to live with a real life example. I want a man and a woman in this room, tumelewana, to live here with a resolve that I will undertake a waste watch. Waste watch. Remember, if you are a man, your wife is not here. Say amen for men. So you have to go and tell her slowly mpaka aelewe tunafanya nini na tunafanya kwani. Especially if you are the kind of person who never listens, and for the first time you are going to ask people to listen, they will listen, but they'll be discounting you to zero. So they are asking, ni roho gani mtakatifu ilikushika leo unakuja kuniambia? So go there knowing that there's a doubting Thomas. Naenda maji saa hii ndio tuizi. And this is how we will do it. Am I saying something? Never try to push a woman to do something. She will accept, then sabotage it. And they are experts in sabotaging. Now, if you are ladies, you know men don't listen. Then don't waste your time trying to make noise. Look for money enough to take this man to a place you don't go often. And the place must have an environment where you cannot disagree. Like Serena. You tell him, I am going to buy you lunch where? In Serena. And you actually go and do what? Buy lunch. Then you tell him, in Luo we say, Wonpacho. I want to discuss something with you that I thought needed this kind of environment. Juzi nilienda mahali na nikafunzwa hii maneno, and I thought you should know about it. So you let him eat when he's finished. Before the dessert come, you walk him through the process. If you can afford an air ticket, nunua umpeleke wapi? Kwa hewa, sio Mombasa. Saa zile ndege imetoka hivi, unafungua topic. Because you can never disagree in the plane. Saa zile inaanza kushuka ukisikia we are now about to land. Now holiday.
Yes, that's okay.
Tumeelewana? You must create the environment for a discussion which does not require a third party na yule mwingine amesikia. And beyond that, amenunua. Hapo tumeelewana? Then you will be a problem kama umenunua and you don't change your behaviors. Tumeelewana? On this Monday, my wife has booked tickets. We are going to a land board in Siaya because we chose to move from where we are to go where? Siaya. And I made it her project. So she's caused me to cancel all my appointments from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, mpaka Wednesday. Do I have a choice? No, because I made it her project. Otherwise, I'm never available. The only answer is siko. Ni mwanaume mgani hana hiyo agenda ya busy. Mwanaume kazi kutafuta pesa. We have time for stories. Siko. In the meantime, you're growing older one day. In summary, your payslip has some money. That money is going to waste. To bring it back, undertake a waste watch. A deliberate review of the things you do with your money every day, every week, every month. Tumeelewana? When you now have the money, you develop plans of what you want to achieve. Remember, one of them in retirement is to end up with stable what? Income. An amount, decide yourself. Kulingana na size yako. Every tortoise has its own shell. If you want 13,000, just save kidogo. If you want double the amount, save double. If you want more, jifinye zaidi. Am I saying something? Once you have a plan and you have cash flow, the only thing you need is the two to keep meeting. Now that is when you look for advice. How do I go to this plan starting from where I am starting? As a lender, I'll tell you this. What you have in your hand is called cash flow. The moment you have 5,000 bob available per month, it can give you a loan that 5,000 bob can pay. Am I saying something? Or you can put that money somewhere, pile it, even in it, then you do something. If your time is short, 3 years to retirement, you have to go bullet way, the loan way. If you have enough time as a young person, you go the other options. Am I saying something? Investment is personal. And I would be very wrong to imagine that I can advise you. Can you see this thing here? Can you see this picture? If you can see that picture, those are very simple guest houses. Very simple. This is a very simple guest house built out of Mtafari. Just like a school. 3-bedroom units. This is just about a 1/4 acre of land. The gate is right here, from here. I use it when I go that side. So when I'm coming to work for you, they charge you 15,000 and I spend 3. And the food here is good. Ama kuna
Sisi
swali?
kujua mimi hata mkiniambia
Kunani? Siku ingine.
Hey, he deserves a better clap. I just wish we had more time. Patrick is one speaker you will listen to and never get exhausted. But I think what we are taking home is that it's not just about listening, but we need to implement